What it is, boys and girls, welcome to an episode of the Stripe It Like It's Hot podcast. So this episode is going to be very beneficial for any company that I would say the bigger the company, the more beneficial it will be. So if you're like under 150K, maybe not as helpful, but still listen, because what I'm going to talk about will set you up for future. And like there's so many companies that don't think about this as they're growing their revenue. So don't stop listening if you're under 150K. But I would say the closer that you are to like that $1 million mark, the more important this is going to be. Okay. So I'm going to talk to you guys about process. So process and a system of how your company does stuff will save your company. Okay. It will save your company. Let me paint you a picture. I want you to imagine a company that has 3 employees. Okay. So you're the owner and you got 3 employees. You have employee A, employee B, employee C. Employee A is a rock star. Okay. He's awesome. He's worked with you for like 2 years, super steady, hardworking, just seems to get it. Not perfect employee, but he's like really, really good. And then you got employee B, who's like good. He's not like employee A level, but he's like good. Doesn't quite work as hard, maybe doesn't quite work as much. He's got a little more rigid schedule, but whatever. Like you're not getting rid of him. He's fine. He might make the odd mistake. And then you have employee C. And employee C is newer to your company, a lot younger. And this guy just seems prone to be making mistakes. He's just struggling, right? Like he's the kind of employee that you're like, man, we've been over this. Like I've talked to you about this, right? But you're trying to cut him slack because he's newer and he's only been with you for a couple months, whatever. What's going to save this company who has employee A, B, and C from major growth pains and heartache and a business owner who's working way too much is process. And I mean ridiculous levels of process. Okay. So I want you to imagine that you send 2 of these employees to a job site. You send employee A and employee C. They're striping a parking lot. Okay. So employee A pulls up to the job site. He's driving the truck and the trailer. He gets out and he tells employee C, okay, here's the deal. I'm going to go do a walk around of the site, compare it to the work order. I'm going to like figure out where everything goes. We were supposed to bring these stencils. I'm going to go figure all that out. Okay. Like I'm going to run the job. I want you to get us set up and ready to restripe this parking lot. Okay. You've done this before. We've done restripes before. Just get everything ready. Get us set up. Cool. And then they go on their way. Employee comes back 10 minutes later. He's done his little job walk. He gets to the job trailer and he sees employee C just kind of sitting there, like looking at stuff. He's got the machine out of the trailer, the line painting machine. He's got that out, but like literally nothing else is ready. There's no paint out. There's no nothing. And so employee A goes to employee C in this hypothetical story and he goes, dude, I thought I told you to get everything ready. Like what, you're just standing here. Like what's going on? And employee C goes, oh, I didn't, I thought you just meant like get the machine out of the trailer. Like I did that. And so employee A starts freaking out because he's like, are you crazy? Like, where's your common sense? Like, think about the things we got to do, man. We got to like put fuel in the machines. We got to get all the paint pails out of the cab of the truck and got to bring them here. Got to mix the paint that we're going to use. We're going to use 5 pails tonight. We got to get it all mixed. You got to set the gun height, put it in the right spray tip. If you got a laser, we got to calibrate the laser. Like, dude, all of this stuff, we got to do that before every job. And employee C is like, oh, yeah, okay, well, we can do that. Right? And this vicious cycle repeats itself. Maybe not every job, but it happens. This same thing happens where like you tell employee C, hey, can you do this? Either you as the owner or one of your good employees like, hey, let's do this. And employee C like attempts to do it, but it's not what you thought it was going to be. And so you get mad and you're like, what is with employee C? Like why can't everyone be like employee A? Right? And so that's what I want to focus in on is employee C is being set up to fail. Okay. One of my favorite expressions is where process ends, common sense goes to die. I made this expression. Matt, I made this expression. Right. Where process ends. Most people I say it to have no idea what it means. So I'm going to explain it. Where process ends. So basically, if your company does not have a process for this thing, you can reasonably expect common sense to die. So what that means is you can't rely on common sense. Like, yes, everyone has a measure of reasoning ability and thinking ability of like what I should do next. But if it's not clearly like documented and there's no process for it, you can expect common sense to die. A lack of process produces inconsistent results. So if you are trying to grow a company right now and you have employees, 1, 2, 3, it doesn't matter. Like, if this is a struggle for you now with like 2 or 3 employees who are like, you have employees who just don't seem to get it. Imagine what it's like if you 5x'd your business tomorrow. Okay. So let's say you didn't have 3 employees, A, B, and C. Let's say you had 15 or even like tripled it. Let's say you have 9, right? So you're going to like grow all this revenue. You're going to do all this more work. You're going to bring in these new employees. And like you think it's an issue today because you have 1 employee who's like messing up. What is it going to be when you add 6 more? And maybe you get really fortunate and you hire like some of those other employee A's, like the guys who just seem to get it and they learn quick. But like, dude, they're going to take time to train. And let's be real, like we're a service company, right? Whether you're striping or seal coating or whatever. So you don't have the luxury of paying people like $48 an hour. Like these aren't like, super, super high skilled, especially if they don't have experience, right? This is like probably $20 an hour, $25 an hour. So imagine if you tripled your business and all the problems that you have in your business today of like people not getting it, imagine it being 3 times as much. And again, truthfully, it'd probably be more because you'd be hiring new people, right? So a lack of process can really mess up your business. And if you're trying to grow, dude, like you wouldn't believe how many times I've seen this. Like even working with my clients one-on-one through their business, like they will share these types of problems with me. Like, man, I got this employee who just doesn't get it. Man, I hired this new salesperson and they just don't seem to be responding well. And that's the first thing I ask them is like, well, tell me about the process. Like, what does the process look like? Well, we just kind of, this is how we do it. Okay, but is it clearly documented? Like, there's so many examples I could use of things that you would need to process, and so many business owners choose not to because they're like, shouldn't employees just get this? And the answer is no, they shouldn't just get this. If your employee doesn't have a clear process for doing something, it could be a document, it could be a video, it could be an employee manual, it could be like anything where they can reference, this is how we do it consistently, you're setting them up to fail. And I think you're kind of the problem. Because that's the other expression I absolutely love is if you don't have a system, you are the system. And so I'm speaking, again, this is why I said it would be so helpful if you're over 150K in revenue. If you're under 150K, like whatever, you're probably doing everything anyways. You're on every job site. So like whatever. Do you need to write out 1 million processes for a 1 or 2 person company? No. But this is what you should start to think about. Like imagine what it would be like to have like 4 or 5 more employees than what you have now. Because if you're having problems today, you're probably going to have those problems in greater magnitude because you expanded the company. So one of the other ways that a lack of process really messes up the company is in the actual delivery for your customers. So in that example I gave at the beginning, right? So employee A will just like whatever, just gets annoyed and then tells employee C, let's do this. Let's fill up the machines with fuel. Let's mix all the paint, all the things that you should have known. Right. And then they just go do the job and life is good. But if you don't have clearly defined process for the actual delivery of your service, so like how to line paint, how to stripe, how to seal coat, like you are now taking a major chance that these employees will somehow deliver an exceptional result for their customer, for your customer, and things will just go smooth. So if you don't have a process for how to set up a job, that probably means you don't have a process for like how to properly seal coat the parking lot. And so what happens is customers will notice this. And I'm telling you, like from personal experience, this stings. Like it stings. I've had this happen. I had customers in striping when I started that I served myself. I'm the business owner. I don't need a process, dude. I say this all the time in my company. I will die on a job site to figure it out because I'm the owner. I'm just wired that way. right? I don't like, so when I started the company and I started striping, I just figured it out because my give a crap meter was through the roof, and it always will be. Your employees will not have that. It's unreasonable to expect that. So I had customers that I just figured it out and I delivered the product, and worst case scenario, if it didn't go well, dude, I was all over it. I'd like fix it up, make sure it was good to go, and just make an exceptional customer experience. The moment I started hiring employees and having them go into the field without me there, even with some process, like things started to come down as far as quality. Like delivery just started to decline. And I had one customer, I remember this vividly. He literally said to me, like, we're approximately like, when you were here doing this, this was never an issue. And it was like a punch in the face. It's like, yeah, when the business owner was on the job site, things went smooth. So what does that tell you? It means that whoever you've replaced yourself with to go into the field, obviously, is not doing it the same way to the same quality that you are. And the question you need to ask yourself is why? Lazy business owners will be quick to be like, well, people just there's no good workers. When the real answer is probably, the problem isn't that there's no like good workers. The problem is you set your people up to fail because they're not the business owner. They're not going to die on a job site. Their biggest priority is not, how can I deliver an exceptional customer experience in this parking lot? It just is. Your employees don't care. Like, yes, they care about their job, but that's not what they're wired to think. They're not wired to think about, how can I make the customer's life that much better? How can I do, like, yeah, you can coach people through training and elevate that, but it will never be to the level you are. So the problem is the process. What is the process for these people on the job site? How do they consistently deliver it? And it's a lot easier. I'm telling you from personal experience, it is way easier to work with an employee who's struggling when you have a clear process to show them than it is to just be like, I'm frustrated because you're not getting it. Well, they're probably not getting it because you don't have the process. So I would say that the issue, if you're having like a drop in your quality and your employees are struggling, take a look in the mirror. First of all, like you need to really look at, what am I delivering for my employees? What system do I have for them to succeed? And then it just becomes so much easier to coach them against that. Like way easier, because now you could be like, hey, did you check the process? Did you check the manual? Did you watch the video? Whatever the process is in your company. Like at the end of the day, your employees, like they're trying to survive, man. Like they're there to collect their paycheck. And yes, I'm sure a lot of them have like good intentions and they want to see your company grow for sure. And I'm sure many would like to be a part of that. But at the end of the day, like they're just going to default to the level of the training and process they have. So like crazy to me. It's crazy to me that so many companies are just lacking the process. So how do you start building processes? How do you start doing this? I think it's a lot easier than what most business owners, at least for me, it's a lot easier than you think it is. I think a lot of business owners think that, man, if I have to write out a how-to for every little thing that I do in my company, I'm just going to be sitting here writing how-to documents. And the truth is like, A, no, you're not going to spend your whole time doing that. And B, suck it up. Like you're going to have to spend time to create this process. Go back to that first example. If there's no like SOP, a standard operating procedure for how your company does line striping on a restripe of a retail parking lot, and you're doing dozens of retail parking lots every single year, or maybe even like hundreds, and there's no repeatable process, dude, just write down what you do. So I'm a big fan of using technology to help you with this. So one of my greatest things that I even to this day, I do this all the time. I literally just did this on Monday. Like I will take my phone and I will open the voice recorder app and I will like start recording what I'm doing into my voice recorder app, and not like fluidly either, like literally like step by step. The one I did on Monday ended up being like a 13-minute long audio recording, just because I'm sitting there for like 20 seconds at a time thinking, what is the next step in the process? And I record all that into an audio file. And then I take that audio file when I'm done upload it to like a free transcription service, which there's a million of them online. Now I have the transcript of my awkward voice message on how to do the thing. And then I fire that into Chat GPT and I say, make this into a clear, easy to follow, step-by-step process. And it just works. And it's phenomenal. The next, just a little fun fact, like, I don't think you need to get super carried away from this, but like I've started doing this with YouTube videos too. I now have like an extension. When I'm watching a YouTube video, I can run it through an AI analyzer, not ChatGPT, a whole separate tool. And I can get like an executive summary of it. I can download the transcript of the video. So it's another thing. Like 3 weeks ago, we had some newer technicians, like new to us this year. We haven't done a ton of signage or bollard installs. It's not a huge thing for us, but we had this bollard installed, like a surface mounted bollard. We didn't have to like excavate or anything. They just needed to go install this thing. And I thought to myself, what are the chances that these two technicians that we're going to send out know what to do? Like maybe they do. Maybe they have experience like, drilling into concrete and installing wedge anchors or tapcons or whatever, but maybe they don't. And so if they don't, what are they going to do? Well, they're either going to be like, dude, I don't know how to do this, or they're going to go like, just try and figure it out on YouTube themselves. So I got one step ahead of it. I found a YouTube video, how to install wedge anchors in concrete, ran it through the thing, got my transcript, fired it into ChatGPT, said, make this into an SOP. I'm not even exaggerating. I had this whole SOP built, edited, and formatted in less than 15 minutes. And now in our document library, in our company, there is an SOP, how to install concrete wedge anchors. And it fits on one page. It's got a nice orange color at the top because orange is the best color in the world. And it'll sit there forever. So now the next time an employee's like, oh, I have to go install bollards, we could literally put that SOP, attach it to the work order, digitally print it, doesn't matter. So those are the kinds of things that you need to start doing, and you will hate it because you didn't start a company to write out processes. But if you have a notion of growing your company to $500,000 or $1 million, you want to be the guy that like has a team of people doing things for you. You are in for the ride of your life if you don't have processes built. Trust me, bro. That's the source. Trust me, bro. I was the guy who started to build processes as I grew my company. Now I hired a business coach and he told me this, you're going to need this. And so when somebody tells you that you're going to need it, it's like, well, I've never really like built a company this size. So but whatever, I'll trust that what you say is correct. I'm telling you, there's not a company in the world that exists, service company, product company, whatever, that can successfully grow and scale a business from like X revenue to doubling or tripling or quadrupling or whatever without really dialing in those processes. I heard a crazy story just recently. I think that illustrates this point. Very common in like, some types of service businesses. I wouldn't say as much as ours, like nail salons or like a beauty salon or something like that. It's very common for an owner to start like a nail salon or some sort of service like that, do really, really well with it, right? Because their marketing's on point, good branding, whatever. And then what happens is the business owner is like, well, I'm doing so well in one location, I might as well open up another location. I'm at capacity in my current like brick and mortar store, so let's open up another location. And the speaker I was listening to explained that the moment you do that and you go from one location to two, the second location will immediately, like, it will not perform as well as the first location. It just won't. Why? Because you're the owner and you ran one location and now you can't run two locations, right? You have to hire a manager, right? So you're going to hire someone to manage that second location. But like ultimately that manager is probably not going to be as good as you. So you can expect the second location to not be as profitable. And this is what messes up service companies when they're expanding brick and mortar locations like a nail salon, is they think, well, if I just open up more, I'll just make more money. And so the point he made in this video was so impactful to me. He said, it is significantly easier to take a salon that has 5 locations and grow it to 50. Easier to go from 5 to 50 than it is to go from 1 to 5. And he explained the reason why is because you don't have the processes. Like, you're still trying to figure it out. You could successfully run one location, print money, like make 30% net profit and do exceptionally well. But the moment you try to go from 2 to 3 to 4, if you don't have your processes dialed in, dude, you're going to be bleeding money. Those locations will not perform as well because now you have like multiple problems. I think it's the exact same in your business and my business. If we do not have the process in place, maybe we're not trying to expand to another city, but like expanding your team is a really good example. Like, you might be able to perform really well today with 1 employee or 2 employees, do your 150K in revenue, right? And be profitable. But the moment you start adding more to that and you start getting some of your time back, so you're less involved in field operations, now you're focusing more on growing the revenue, you will have the exact same effect as like opening a second nail salon. The quality will likely go down. Margins are not going to be the same. Efficiency will go down. Process is like your only saving grace to offset that. You probably won't be able to offset it 100% because in a small pavement company, the owner is just like the most motivated person. But the better your process is, the more you will offset that. So one more time, I'm going to go back to the opening example. Employee A, employee C are on the job site. Employee A tells C, hey, get us ready to restripe. And then he comes back and like nothing's done. So all that would need to be done in that example is procedure set up for restripe, and it'd be like 7 steps. Unload the machines, put out the safety pylons, fuel up the machines, put the drop cloth down on the parking lot, calibrate the laser, put in the right spray tip, set the gun height correctly, and do a test shot on cardboard. Like, I can rattle these off because we built this procedure. So like we do this in our company. So in that one example though, how much time is lost because employee C didn't do it? It might only be like 10, 15 minutes, right? Might not seem like a big deal, but now you start compounding, like the setup is done inconsistently. The execution is done inconsistently. The post-job review is done inconsistently. So now they're missing quality. Now you have to go back and do warranty. So all this stuff starts to pile up, and your margins just start like disappearing. And you're just getting frustrated thinking common sense, how come these people just don't think the way I do? It's because you don't have a system. You are the system. And if you're the business owner listening to this and you are the system, replace yourself with a system, a documented procedure for how to do things. Without that, you are hooped. And that's all I'm going to say on process. So if you want more assistance talking about process, like reach out to me. I can't stress it enough. This is not fun. Like, I don't enjoy writing out processes. So just fun little thing, like 4 days ago, I had to write, it ended up being 4 pages long. Now, I did my trick, right? I did my voice trick and I was speaking into the thing step by step. I had to make this procedure for how, this is like super niche, like how an admin person can successfully create a project in a unique operating software that is only used for snow removal, and how they can onboard the customer into the project and set up all of the pre-season to-dos for that snow removal 100% of the time consistently. So like even in my company, like you're always building. We didn't have this process before. So what did the process look like even a year ago or 2 years ago? It sucked. It was inconsistent. I could go into our snow projects from last year and show you inconsistencies in how the setup is done. Like they should all be the same. Like the documents should be the same. The checklist should be the same. The client should get like their snow response plan and it should be laid out the same. And it simply wasn't. And so my admin person this year was like, hey, I was looking at the last year's project to set up this year's. It's the same project, same property. We're plowing the same parking lot. And he's like, it's missing this and this and this. And I said, yes. And that's why we built the process. So it took me like about 2 hours, like 2.5 hours. That is like not a fun use of 2.5 hours. I would rather hang out with Matt and like go rock climbing with this guy for 2.5 hours. Instead, I sat there talking into my phone, running crap through AI and writing a how-to document. And it was the best 2 hours I could have spent. No offense. I would have loved to have gone climbing with you. Best 2 hours I could have spent because now I have this banging 4-page document, super boring to make, but I could literally give it to my admin person. We did one show me call. So basically, like, we got on a video call because he works remote, and I was like, all right, here's the document. I think this is detailed enough where you could just like jump in and do this. So like, I'll just literally sit here on mute and just kind of screen share while you do it. And if you have any questions, let me know, but like, just run this play, because what I'm trying to find out is like, did I build this SOP correctly? And even in that, we found like 2 or 3 things where I was like, oh, hold on, why are we doing it this way? And he was like, well, because the document said do it this way. I was like, okay, we got to change that. That's not the way it should be. The point is, after like 2 hours of document building and a 1 hour, took 1 hour to set up one project. We have like dozens of projects. Well worth it. Those 3 hours was enough for my admin person to now like, dude, I can now set up every snow contract exactly the same way. He knows what to do if there's questions. Boom. Process. So you can do that for admin. You can do that for sales. You could do that for operations. You could do that for how your employees clock in. I have like, this is ridiculous. Matt, how long is this? I don't want to talk forever. We're at like 28 minutes. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up. Like, the amount of stories that I could tell you from working one-on-one with my clients who are trying to grow their business of like examples of this. Like, I'll just be real with you. If you're at the $500,000 mark, to me, that's like peak suffering as far as process building. You can get to 500K with no processes, but that's like peak suffering. That's when you're really going to start ripping out your hair as a striper or seal coater. So if you're trying to get to 500,000, kudos, I can maybe help you with that. But I'm telling you, if you don't have the process, 500,000 is like a pretty safe mark of like, this is the worst. You can still grow it too. I'm telling you, like, I know companies that have grown to 7 figures in revenue with no system. It's the owner, like everybody like everything runs through the company. Maybe he's got like 1 or 2 mid-level managers, but they're kind of like just whatever. They're just there. And like, that's not a fun company. It's not fun at all. So if one of the things I see a lot have to do with quality of work, guys are slow to set up the jobs. I know one of my clients I'm working with had this thing where he's like, dude, my foreman asked the guys to, instead of reporting for work in the morning at the shop, they reported to work at the job site. He's like, he told them, like, you guys live 10 minutes from the job site. Just meet me at the job site. We'll start at 7:30. And so the foreman went by himself to the shop in the morning to load up all the stuff. By the time he got out the door, because it was one guy loading up all this stuff for the day, like, he didn't get to the job site till like 8:30. And so my client was like, this is so frustrating. Like, he made a terrible decision. And I told him, you should be pumped. You should give that guy a pat on the back. Even though he made the wrong decision, you should be so pumped that he made a decision trying to benefit the company. He was trying to think efficiently. So I asked my client, I was like, well, what do you think went wrong here? Like, how did he decide to do it this way? And he's like, I don't know. He just thought that would be better. It's like, okay. So when you go to coach someone when they make a wrong decision, we have to coach them against the process. So what is the process? When you have the conversation with your foreman, hey, this didn't work, what are you going to say to like show him that he did it wrong? And the answer was, I got nothing. There is no process. So it's like, okay, in like a 3-minute conversation, me and my client can now figure out, like, is there going to be times where it makes sense for the foreman to make that call? And if he does make that call, how does he execute it so that the guys aren't at the job site 7:30 in the morning, clocked in, waiting for an hour for the truck and the supplies to show up? Like, you could flesh that out just by like thinking about it or talking out loud to yourself or hiring a coach and having them help you. And like that little thing, he now has a process that will be built into the company for like, this is how we can decide where the muster point is. Like, where do the guys start their workday? If it's not written and it lives in the vague, you're hooped. Where process ends, common sense goes to die. And in that case, it wasn't even a lack of common sense. Like, his foreman was trying his best to make the right decision. He just made not the best decision. So you should always applaud your people when they make a decision when you're not there and there's no clear process. Always like dap them up and say like, good job. And then make the process and help them make a better decision next time if they didn't make the right one. Or if they didn't, even if they made the right decision, maybe the foreman made the right decision. Maybe it was best to have them show at the job site. Still cool. You should still write that into a process. You should still like have it like written down somewhere in a playbook. Like this is how a foreman can decide where the guys go. I could talk about this all day, but I'm not going to. Process is everything. If you need help with process, if you're overwhelmed, if you're like, I don't even know where to start, I think like A, reach out to me. B, like start with the highest leverage things. Where are you dropping off the most? Like probably for real, it's not going to be admin. It's probably going to be your guys in the field. So if you have guys in the field, and even if you're as the owner are on the job site with them, if you're losing efficiency in the field, that's probably your greatest lift where you could start. So like get to work on speaking into your phone, writing out how you do things, shoot a training video, all that stuff. Start building it out with the highest leverage things that'll produce the greatest return for you. And then you can start fine tuning and adding those really niche things like how to set up a snow removal project in a obscure software. And that stuff can come down the road. Last thing I'll say, Matt, I swear it's the last thing I'm going to say. This is a never ending process. So don't, Matt, don't think that you're just going to like have it built. You'll never have it built. I'm sorry. Like 7 years later, our company is still building. I was talking with someone who I do not work with, but this person said, he said, before I go hire you to work with me on my business, I just need to like get this stuff built first and then I'll be good. And I'm like, you're taking a big risk. Like you think that you're just going to like build these processes into this giant playbook. Yes, that's good. That's very helpful, but you're not done because now it's going to be like ongoing maintenance and updating of it. And like the moment you sell something new or you sell bigger projects, like the process you have today probably won't work anymore. If we change our snow software next year, that whole process that I wrote that took me 3 hours is out the window. It's gone. Like it's a never ending process. Process is a never ending process. And on that excellent, English segue thing, I'm thinking that's where we're going to end it. So reach out to me for real if you need help with process. I do talk about process a lot, obviously on this YouTube channel. Go check out the Skool community as well. I'm going to plug my stuff because it's great stuff. It's like stupid inexpensive relative to the value you get. Skool.com. That's Skool. Skool.com/pavement. Get in there. It's dirt cheap and you will learn cool crap like this in greater detail. What's up, guys? This episode of the show today is brought to you by our good friends at One Crew. So if you run a pavement maintenance business, asphalt paving, line striping, one of the biggest things that has helped me grow my business from literally working out of a minivan to like 7 figures of revenue was understanding the costs that we were putting into our jobs and speeding up the process of how quick we can serve customers. What I learned in business is that it takes a lot of time to make an estimate. It takes a lot of time to get your pricing. And then you're going to hear like people like me on this podcast or other successful business people talk about job costing and know your numbers. And if you're a business owner, like you just don't have time for that. Like it's important, but you don't have the time. That's why we use One Crew. And I'm so happy that they sponsored this show. One Crew simplifies that. They make everything easy. So from the moment a lead comes in, to how you estimate it, to getting the proposal to your customer, and then converting that to a work order. One Crew has simplified the whole thing. It cut our time on a sales cycle by 70% in my company. The cost savings of that alone is insane. So if that interests you and you want to know more, like they give free demos. So here's what you're going to do. Go to getonecrew.com/stripeit. getonecrew.com/stripeit. You just need to plunk in your info and then their team will reach out to you to set up a demo. It's totally free. I guarantee you're going to be blown away with the stuff you see. Now, if you go to that link, they will also give you, if you sign up with the program, $500 off your startup fee, which is pretty awesome. Pretty big savings. So getonecrew.com/stripeit. Take the free demo. They're not going to pressure you. It's a great software. I really think you need to see it to understand what it could do for your company, like it's what it's done for my company.